שם השם נעשה ונצליח, ברוכים הבאים. אנחנו ממשיכים, we're carrying on with the כוונות, בעזרת השם, of מטבע ברכה. So a quick recap. So in our booklets, so let me explain what I like to do. I'd like to finish up the Matbeah Bracha, because we've done all the hard bit, Be'ezrat Hashem. We have for Melech HaOlam, it's a bit easier. So if we managed to finish the Matbeah Bracha, we would have done it as it is in the Siddur. What would be really good before we finish up would be then to go and see inside Nehar Shalom, because in Nehar Shalom it brings three different places in the Arizal in his writings, so we can see how the Rashash learned how to be Misader, if we've got time. Okay, so that would be my, even if it's just one shir on Nehar Shalom. The thing is, next week I'm not here for 2 weeks in Mitzvah Hashem, because I'm going for Father's Yard site and a nephew's bar mitzvah, so I won't be able to be on 2 Sundays we're going to miss. Okay, so Bezrat Hashem, I want to do today, and then maybe 1 or 2 more shiurim and finish it, and then we thought we'd go to Kriyat Shema Lamita. Kriyat Shema Lamita has got Matbeah Bracha. It's a very, very, very important, very yesod, and it's a lot of the Shema is built around it. And anyway, we're in the middle of Shema Arvit, we didn't actually finish it. It'd be a very good thing to do, because then we would have different areas of the kavanot and see how they kind of connect together, and then we can go back to the Siddur for Shachrit, and we'll have a good mahalach. But Kriyat Shema Lamita is very important, and the mahalach of it is that we could do it. I don't know, in the summer it's harder, but we could maybe pray Arvit whenever we get to Arvit and do it together. Then sure. Yeah. Like they used to do in the Kabbalim.
You have to go back home, drive, and
No, you do over here, then you can do it. You're not making, don't say Shira Mamach, it's fine. So when Ishchai says you can speak afterwards, as long as. We don't say Shira Mamach. Yeah, we'll see. We'll work it out when the time comes, right? We should get there. Let's get there first. Okay. So now I'm going to start in a slightly different place. I'm going to start later on in the Kavanah. If we go to Melech HaOlam on page 16. Melech HaOlam, what happens normally in Melech HaOlam is the same as like when we cross over from the Achot to the Panim, yeah, from the in this case it's from the Katnut to the Gadlut. So we have to send everything up, everything that we already brought down. We have to send it all back up. Okay, so now we've been learning that there's Shefa Chitzon, and the Shefa Chitzon is divided into Pinimiyut the Chitzon and Chitzon the Chitzon. So there's 2 mastulim. Now what we see on page 16 is at the end of everything, it's like working backwards, right? At the end of everything, you can see the Shefa Chitzon and the Shefa Primi on the page after it's all come down. When they say all come down, that means it came down from other parts of Fim, it ended up from Za all the way to Nuk. We don't go further. Za Nuk, Nuk's got everything. That's the job. Yeah. So the one step before we in Melech HaOlam that we go back to Absag to send up whatever we've got to bring the bigger one, Panim, right? So when we do that, we have to send up the Shefa Chitzon, the Chitzon, and Primi the Chitzon. So here on this page, you can see what it looks like when it finishes at the end. So if you're careful, you'll see there's the Absag Maben, which is what came down to Abba and Yashas. And there's the 3 Ekeres, although there was only 2 in the beginning, now we got the 3rd one as well. Right? That's it, actually, yeah. And the Levush, it says. These names are basically the same ones we had. The only extra thing is you got Chasadim and Grot, which you didn't have before. So at some point, Chasadim and Grot come into the story. Chasadim and Grot is a tipad that Zag gives to Nuk. Okay? But that means that if you're looking at Shefa Pinimi, you can see the Shefa Pinimi are all these Shemot together, as well as the Nachi, which is above it. I don't think the air conditioning is on, by the way.
There is air coming out of it.
Maybe the fan's on low. On this thing of fan instead of air conditioning. Press the mode button. And then you see Shefa Chitzon. It's exactly as we saw before. The 3, we said last week, we said the Shefa Nolad. I mean, at the end of Baruch, we were Molid the Shefa, and then Ata Hashem Elokeinu, it went to the 3 Kavim. So now at this point, we're sending it back up. You understand? So that's basically what, so you see, by looking at the end, it's like looking at the back of the book for the answers, you can see where we're going to need to get to. So that's why I wanted to start over here. Okay, anyone see that? Yeah. So that's what we need to get to. You compare. Yeah, it's clear. Everyone's quiet. Clear? I'm talking to myself. You see what I'm saying? You see what we're saying over here?
You be more specific.
We're saying that on this page, we're seeing all the shefa that came down. All the shefa that came down, we can see on this page, right? So what are we looking at? We're looking at on the top number one, it says shefa pnimi lechitzon, and you can see what already came down is the nanachi of the Eke and Havayaz, and then they have to go inside the Moach and the Levush, and you can see the names are Ab Sagma Ben, and then three Ekes. So now I'm going to go back and trace it to show you where it comes from. Because from what we learned already, you should recognize it, where it came from. Okay. Okay, Rabotai, do you understand what I'm just saying? Very simply, that you can see over here these Shemot. You see all these Shemot over here? So this Shefa Pnimi, Shefa Chitzon. Where did these Shemot come from? So now go back to beginnings. Go to Milat Baruch. We do a quick Chazara. So go back to Milat Baruch. Milat Baruch, we started by Zivug, the first Zivug for Atik Benuk. And then that was, it said the Shefa, on the next page. Of Atik Benuk for Pnimi and Chitzon, and then he went to Arich Benuk and there was Shefa Chitzon and Pnimi. When you get to the next page, page 4, when you get to page 4, now we're dealing with Abba Vima, Abba Yashas, Ima and Tuna. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right. So when we're dealing with them over there, we can see on the Abba Yashas side, the name of the Shefa is Ab Sag Ma Ben. Right?
Yeah, I see.
Asbab.
So,
And on the left side, Ima and Tuna are two Akirs.
that's a problem.
Kastakal, right? So there's also a Dart Shlishi, but at the moment we're not dealing with it, so we don't need to worry about it. What is with this? Every time I press it down, it goes from 4 to 20 jumps. Okay. Okay, so what we can see over again, what we're seeing over here is these names of the Shefa, which is coming from Shefa Primi. You can see Ab Sagma Ben and two Ekiyas. And there's a third one which is not there because Nashim Datot Kalot. Okay, so from the moment I'm telling you 7 names, 4 Havayas and 3 Ekiyas. Eventually, all of this is Abba and Ima. Abba will give to Ima, and then it will all end up with Ima, and then Ima will give it to Zah, and then Zah will give it to Nuk, and it's all going to end up on page 16 in Nuk. You understand? And then we have to send it back up. So look at page 16. You'll see all those Shemot, including the third Ekiyah of Canaan. On top of all of that, you got the Havaya, you got 5 Havaya of Chasadim, 5 Havaya of Gvurot, and the Nanachi. You understand? So in other words, that's what we brought down until that point. Yeah, but when you're on page 4, you don't see Nanachi, you don't see Chasadim and Gvurot. You just see Absagma, Ben, and 3 Ekiyas. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Then at the bottom, the Shefa Chitzon, in the yellow box at the bottom, that's the same, page 16. That's what we brought in Ata Hashem Elokeinu. That Shefa was born in the end of Baruch. Let's have a look, right? We'll go back to now to page. We were on page 4, and we saw it came down from Abba and Yashas, so that then there was a Zuguv of Abba Vima together, and the Shekin at the bottom of page 4. And then on the next page, everything went down to the Yisod. So the Absa Gma Ben goes down to the Yisod of Abba. It's in the middle of the page, page 5, on the right side. Lisod, the Chabad, the Chagat, the Zivug Elyon, the Abba V'Yashas. See that?
Yeah.
Right? So that means on the right side, it's all gone to Yisod the Abba. Abba Yashas. Together. Yeah. And then on the left side, Yisod of Ima. Goes to Yisod of Ima. So now, what we have to now do is a zivug of Abba V'Ima, because until now the zivug that we had was only to send it down to the Yisod of Abba, down to the Yisod of Ima, but you still got half on one side and the other half on the other side. Now Abba and Iba will make a zivug for the Shefa Pnimi, and when they do that, what's going to happen? Everything will end up in Yisod of Ima. So we turn the page and we go over to leave page 7 because that's all Shefa Chitzon. We go to the beginning of the Milat Ata, the next word in the bracha, because it's only then that we have Zivug Abba Ve'ima. Remember what we said last week, that the Shefa is the Chidush. The Zivug Abba Ve'ima for Shefa Chitzon was already Milat Baruch. But the Zivug Abba Ve'ima, it only happens in Ata for the Shefa Chitzon. Yeah, it's a Chidush. They're not, this doesn't work the same system for both of them. Okay. So then when we say the word Ata, we have Zivug Abba Ve'ima, and then Abba gives everything to him. And if you look in the Siddur, not like our Siddur, it all looks like one on top of the other, and you can't understand that the top of the page and the bottom of the page are two separate kavanot. Yeah, I'm just getting on the screen here. So this is Milat Ata, and Milat Ata, we see the Zivug of Abba Ve'ima. Move this to the side. We see Zivug Abba Ve'ima, Ekeh and Havaya, right? Nice and clear. And then what happens? If you go down the page, it says Abba and Yashas give their tipa. So you see now what's changing. You're adding a tipa that you didn't have before. The Hamisha Hasadim is the Zachar. So the man gives the loben and the woman has the odem. The Gemara says in the Gemara Kiddushin, Nida, it's a flamid somewhere around there. And it says that the man gives that to the woman. And that's to make a baby, right? He gives all the tipa and she has the tipa, and the two together is Yetzirat Avlat. So here you see the Hasadim, the Chamisha Hasadim are the tipa that's going with the Absag Maben. Understand? So what is this Absag Maben? So now we're saying is Moach, the Mochim. There's Moach and there's Levush. It doesn't matter. It's a kind of Levush that goes to the ones that come from Abba and Yasha are called Moach. The ones that comes from Ima are called Levush. So this is what you're giving it from the Yisod of Abba to the Yisod of Iman. And in the Yisod of Iman, you already have the Kasa Kana Kama. You got the three. See now, suddenly the third Ekeh appeared. You understand? It wasn't there before. We had the name of, but through the Avodah Ralav and that big long name of Hashem Ekeh in a very funny way, it makes the Kana appear. So this Kavanah is telling you, take everything above in that blue box, which is in the Yisod of Abba, and puts it in the Yisod of Iman Tfuna. So as a result, so now on the page you'll see there's 4 lines. So we've done line 1. Line 1 goes into line 2. Now line 2 has everything of line 1 and line 2. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the Siddur you don't see that. You see not this Siddur. In the regular Siddur, you'll see on one page the Yisod of Abba of Yashas goes to Iman Tfuna, and then the next line. You don't understand what's going on because it's a new covenant. You have to put a line underneath it, and I start a new covenant. Then you'll see in the Yisod of Ima everything, and it goes to the Malchut of Ima. So this is going from here to there. Abba and Ima make a zivug, and he gives everything over to him, and she's got everything. And then the next covenant is everything in there going to the Malchut of Yisod. So you take the results like equals. If you go to page 10, it's like saying equal. Right, so you turn to the next page. Now everything is Yisod of Ima Utfuna. So that's the result of above. But there's a bit missing out. It doesn't break it down into that stage. It's just now the next scene, Ima as Yisod is going to Ima's Malchut. And now everything is in Yisod of the Malchut of Ima. But in the Malchut of Ima, you don't see everything there because now it's showing you what was there when it came in. You understand? So it's a very interesting kavanah because it's not showing you the bits that came from Abba because you have to do all in one go. It's like as if it's not showing you the eventual totzah that some of it is in the Yisod of Ima, some is in the Malchut of Ima. That's the point I'm trying to say. The Malchut of Ima has got the Chasadim, Hamisha Chasadim. Okay, so we haven't got time to explain this whole kavanah in depth. Why is it? It's a bit strange that in the Yisod of Ima you've got what Abba gave her, but you haven't got what was the Yisod of Ima a minute ago when he made the zivug. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So the truth is that the Yisod and the Malchut of Ima are connected with each other, and really everything's in the Malchut of Ima, and that's where they really join together. Until you get to Malchut of Ima, you won't see everything together, right? So that's the answer, right? So we'll just go back because I've just walked in. So we looked at page 16, and we went back from page 16, and basically you can see everything where it ends up, that the results, everything is in Nook, in Nook after from Zat to Nook. How did he get there? So he said, there was the Zivug of Atik Menok, and then Arich Menok, and then it split up into Shefach Chitzon and Primi. And then there's two different Mastulim. The Shefach Primi de Chitzon is Ab Sagma Ben and the three Ekiyas. Whereas the Zivug of the Chitzon, which we haven't done yet today, has the three Mabs, which is Atar Shem Loken, is Molin Ninolad, through the Zivug of Abba Vima in the Milat Baruch, for the Shefach Chitzon, the Chitzon. But the zivug of Abba Vima for the shefa pnimi de chitzon is only milat tata. When you get to milat tata, so then you see that they pass it over from Yisod Abba and Tvuna and Yashas to the Yisod of Ima and Tvuna. And then everything is in Yisod of Ima and Tvuna, as you can see on page 9. Yeah, it says Li Yisod Abba Yashas, and underneath it, Li Yisod the Ima and Tvuna at the bottom of page 9. So everything went over to Yisod of Ima. Now, what is looking at it? What do you see in the Yisod of Ima? The three kasas, the three ekiyas, kasa kama kama, right? Kasa kama kana, that's the way to say it. Right? You see the three names of the ekiyas are there already. So you're joining everything else over, right? So now with that now you have to send the Chamisha Chasadim as well, which is the tipa from Abba to Ima. You understand? So I'm asking you, why isn't the Tipa of Ima already there? When you turn the page, you see that the Tipa of Ima is in the Malchut. And when you see the Tipa of in the Malchut of Ima, you've got the Chamish and you've got the three names of Ekir. But hang on a minute, above that in Yisod of Ima, you've got the three Ekirs, right? So there's something else going on here we didn't understand. What we need to know, Halacha L'Maaseh, is when you get to page 16, everything is in the Malchut of Ima. And Nook, in fact, by then. So then what we're going to do is going to go from this stage, where everything now is in the Malchut of Ima and Tvuna, and how it has to get to Zah and Nook, which we haven't discussed yet. That's what we're going to do today. Yeah? All that was just explained today. Yeah? You understand? Shefa Chitzon is easy because last week we learned in the Milat Baruch, we will molid the Shefa for the three different kavim of the Shem Membet, the Mulaz Yad. And then the Milat Atah Hashem Elokeinu, you do 1, 2, and 3, you've done all the different Shefa Chitzon, the Chitzon. So I'm going to have a quick look while we're there. On page 11, you see the right side goes in Milat Atah, and then the left side in Hashem in page 12. And then on page 14, in the Elokeinu, you do the left side. So the three kavim of the three names of Membet of the Chitzon, that's what you have to do. Chuck, send it down. 1, 2, 3. Atah Hashem Elokeinu. Very easy. But as you're doing Atah Hashem Elokeinu, you also have to carry on with the Shefa Primi. When we started Milat Atah, there was a zivug of Abba Vima of the Primi, the Chitzon. As we just said now, then it went from one Yisod of Abba to Yisod of Ima, and then turned from Yisod of Ima to Malchut of Ima. Right? So as far as we're concerned, everything now is in the Malchut of Ima and Yasha and Tvuna. That makes sense? On the end of page 10. Then we carry on in Milat Hashem on page 12. Okay, and there's a scary kavanah over there to look at. Like very intense. Let's get on my screen. There we are, page 12. So what do we see? We see there's a zivug now of Za and Nuk. Okay? But first, we have to give it from it's at the top of the page. Mi malchut de ima utvuna. Right? So everything is in malchut, ima and tvuna, as we expected it to be, like it was in the bottom of page 10. Yeah? Go back to page 10 at the bottom. You see everything went into the malchut de ima utvuna. But we didn't see everything in the malchut. We just did the kavanah of sending it there. We didn't see it in the Siddur, right? When we look at page 13, we see everything is in Malchut Ima and Tvuna. You understand? So let's read what it says. Yechaven. Let's get this to the top of the page here.
We read it from?
Top of page 13. Right? Yachavod, do you want to read it?
No.
Yachavod, Yachavod. Yechawen, 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 Yechawen. להמשיך ולהוציא ממלכות, right? So that's all we really need to remember. Everything else is a pilpul of present patiyut, right? But it means everything that was in the malchut, we now have to send it to Zah. You understand? It's not complicated. If you think about, if you understand in your mind what's going on, there was Atik and Arich and Abba Ve'ima, Yashu, now it has to go to Zah. So all we're doing is following the way down. You have to know the names of the Partsufim. That's all you have to know. By now we don't know the names of the Partsufim, then we're stuck. Right? So we have to know the names of the Partsufim. The only difference here was that Abba and Yashas go together and Ima and Tvuna go together as if they're one. Right? We don't do Abba Ve'ima and then Yasu. We do Abba, Yashas, Ima, Tvuna, and then we go to Zah. So now we're in that stage where everything is in the Malchut of Ima Tvuna. So it says, Yechavel Amshich Leotzi Mi Malchut. Which Malchut is that? Of Ima Tvuna. Right? Carry on the next line. The Zivuga Pnimi, because that's Shefa Pnimi. The Chabad, because it's Pnimi, the Chitzon. It means the same thing, and it's Karim. You already know that from before. The Ima Tvuna. Right? So everything is there. And it's together im chug. So now you've got the chasadim and the gevurot, which you know is already in the malchut of Ima. So now we know we were on the right lines before we said everything went from Yisod of Ima to malchut of Ima, right? So the chasadim and the gevurot, the Chamish chasadim came from Abba. The Mishal gevurot came from Ima. Now they're together in Ima because Abba gave the tipah. So both the tipot become like one in the rechem b'moy Ima, in the beten of Ima, and she gives birth to Zah. So now everything's going to Zah. Right? So it says, Im Hasim Gov, Im Nanachi, the Nachi. So now you got the Nanachi as well, right? Because now we're going to Zah. Whenever you have Nanachis, for Zah, you must have the Nanachis, because that's the Orot that come down. What does it mean, Chabad dechagat? That means the pnimi of the Shefa Chitzon, because we haven't got to Melech Olam yet, so it's all Shefa Chitzon. So because it's pnimi de Chitzon, Chitzon we already explained that Hashem Elokeinu is the Shem Mav and Mulazia. This is something else. This is the Chitzon. This is all pnimi de Chitzon. That's called Chabad dechagat. So who are you giving it to? It's a simple kavanah. Whatever was an Ima, Imshi into Abba, into Zah, everything into Zah. It's the same Shemot that we had before. It's not new Shemot. It's the same ones we had before. Yeah, and you can see over here how when they arrange themselves inside Harechem, and then it goes into Zah. See how nicely they work out Moach Chochma of Abba and Moach Chochma de Ima. One's called Moach Levush. Moach Chochma de Bina de Abba, and because the Levush de Bina de Ima on the left, and the Chasimim go out in the middle. Because that's where the dart. Always the dart is where the tipa comes from. Yeah, and then there's a final livush there of Ima, of the kana, which we introduced in the middle, and you've got everything ready to go where to Zah. You understand? So in this kavanah, we are now going to give everything to Zah. Full on one page. It looks complicated, but in your mind you have to know, have to follow it through. So what does Zah look like? So it's a chidush. It's one of the places, the rare places in all of the kavanah where Zah has got the name of Nuk, which is Ben. This Zah, if you look at the name, it's Yud, Hey, Hey, Vav, Vav, Hey, Hey. But the Dalid has got a Vav and a Vav inside it. And each Hey, you have to spell it Di, Du, Tlat, Vavim, like the three matzot. And then you get the special kavanah of Ralav, which is Baruch, because the real main matara of this bracha is to give everything to Zah. And that's Baruch, right? And then he'll give it to Nuk, and she'll be called Baruch as well. We'll give the Baruch to Nuk, let's put it that way. He blesses Nuk, he gives it to her. And that's the last kavanah, when you say Hashem. Now we already said Hashem, he said Baruch Ata, Baruch, that's it's Hashem, right? So he said Hashem, we do a kavanah. Look at the end of the kavanah, you got another Hashem over there. Ashkun Hai. Yeah. Ashkun Hai. How's it? So we learn from the Rashash that here you don't think of Hashem again. There's a kavanah that it says in the Zohar Kadosh. Whenever you say Shema Baya, you have to look at it and you have to first of all peep shah. You have to say Hayav Veviyeh, Adonai Kol Hayav Veviyeh. Yeah, that's the Pirush Hamilim. But then the Zohar says that you have to make a shiluv of Havaya and Adanut together. You have to have the Havaya and Adanut. This is the Sodom Malchut. And they have to mishalev together. Yud, Aleph, K, yeah. Okay. So that kavanah is when there's a zivug of Zanuk. You have that zivug. And it says as well, if a person does it, he's chayav mitah. Don't ask why, but that's what it says. Like, very important thing to do. So now, yeah. So it's a big inyan to do it.
And the Kaddish is the opposite.
Yeah. That's chibuk. Because the zivug there is nishikin, and the woman, it says the nishikin comes, the nekivas to initiate first. So that's why the note comes before Zah.
That's the Kaddish.
Yeah, there's the zivuk and chibuk also. Chibuk is together at the same time, but you put the male before the female. Whatever before a kid. I know. Yeah.
The bigger name then.
I'm getting to it slowly. Sure, that's right.
But you don't
So normally when you say Baruch Atah Hashem or any pasuk, we've got Yud Kei Vav Kei in it, right? So when you say Yud Kei Vav Kei, you have to put all of that into that name. And now the modern ones, they put it all Kavanat Alev, they'll follow the Kabbalah. The power of the Kabbalah took over, right? Before it used to be only in Siddur Mansur, some Livornos had it, some didn't, some had it on top of the page, and you had to be mechaven that you have to, whenever you say Hashem's name, they wrote over there, you have a Kavanah. But they wanted you to do it for every single one. That was the idea. So what does that mean? It means that Zah and Nukah together, you mustn't separate them. I mean, it's made a zivug, right? But in this Kavanah that we're doing now, the zivug and Zah and Nukah is only at the end of Milat Hashem. So if you want to be a chacham and come along and say Baruch Atah Hashem, you say Hashem's name, you want to go mechaven havaya danu. It's not true. It hasn't happened yet. So at the end of the kavanah, it says in the Rashash, that's where you put the shiluv havaya danu.
You have to do everything before.
Exactly. You understand? And if you know what's going on, you'll understand. That's what's happening at the end of the kavanah. Because yes, that's the psh, you get to the siyad kavanah. The God at the end, Zadok made this zivug, big, just a Chatam Bekala, understand? Huh? Nisuin, Yichud, everything, the whole business. Now they're going to have a baby already. Is Inshallah bil mila and bil khair. So that's why it says we learn. All the Siddurim did this, by the way. It's only later on you see all the Rav Shmueli and all. They all understood what the Rashash is telling you is this kavanah. You might think you'd be a chacham and go and put in that over the note. It has to be at the end, and that's why this havaya at the note at the bottom. We show you havaya za at the note is nok, and then together they misdaveg. So now let's read it inside. Okay. So there's so much amka over here that we're just touching the surface with that we don't want to complicate ourselves. But even this kavanah in the middle of the page, it says al gaberesha de zah. It's all above the zah. It hasn't gone into zah yet. Yeah, it wasn't in. It's all in the malchut of ima. And where's the malchut of ima? It's al gaberesha de zah, ready to go inside him, but it hasn't gone inside him. So when you're looking at this kavanah in the middle of the page, over here, where we've got in the blue box chabad de chagat. What does it mean, Chabad de Chagat? It means the Chabad is the Shefa Primi, right? De Chabad de Chagat of the Primi the Chitzon. I don't know why I put that. I'm just looking at it now. I think you should just say Chabad de Chagat. I don't know why I put that extra. I think it got left in there by accident. Okay, for now, when we bring in this Narnachi, we need this Narnachi for a reason because we haven't learned this yet. But when we put the Orot inside the Kelim are not yet built. In order to build the Kelim, there's a whole avodah which is called Aliyat Pirkin. So there's something going there. There's a little note that I put in the right hand side to explain that from Shari Rachamim. So leave that for now. Okay, but that's why the Nanachi now very playing a very important part because we're giving the Shefa all to Zah. But in this picture, it says Al Gabe Resha de Zah. It hasn't yet gone into Zah. And then you've got in the underneath it says Kol Moach de Abba Nichnat Belivush de Ima Shvile Nahar. That's Rav Shmueli. Yeah. You understand? Here's where the Abba and Ima. No, Abba gave it already to Ima. It's all in Ima, but what came from Abba and Ima has to arrange itself in the right way so it's ready to go into Zah. And then we can do the main avodah of this kavanah at the end of Milat Hashem. So remember, Hashem is Zah. Yeah, Yud Kei Vav Kei is Zah. So that's why this is the kavanah where we give everything to Zah. So Chidush that also goes to Nuk. So now we're going to go slowly and explain it. It says Letoch Vak Zah. What does it mean Vak Zah? Because everything in Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu until Melech HaOlam, everything is Shefa Chitzon. We've explained the Shefa Chitzon is a partzuf that's called Yenika. Yenika means Chagat and Nai. Nai is the Katnut. You understand? So the whole of Zah hasn't been built yet. Until you get to until you bring the Gadlut, this is like a baby that's growing up. And he's at the Bechina called Yenika. And the Yenika, he's only got 6 Sfirot. Chagat Nai. So it's called Vak Zah. You understand? So this is a chidush, but this explains why this name is Ben, because when Zah is called Vak, only the Vak. So it says in the yellow box that I put in there, yeah, Vak equals Ben. Zah equals Ben, Keshurak Vak. ואחרי שקיבל הזין שמות, אז נקרא עליו. So now Shalom, and myself in the book of Rav Atiyah, called Ater Mordechai, which we have over there on the shelf, which we used a few weeks ago, explains this great chidush of what's going on over here. Zah, to begin with, always begins with 6 Sfirot. Nuk is always a nekudah. He has to end up having 10, and she has to end up having 10. And how do you do it? Zah is only 2 flights. You've got 9 Hagat. That means we have to take those kelim. We have to make extensions for them. So there'll be enough to put in the Chabad, and also what's called trade between the Dat. The Dat also has a whole row of itself. So you need to have 4 komot. For to have the whole, for that to be complete, you need to have 4 komot, four stories. And he's only got 2, he's only Vak. So you have to take from this Vak. That means Chagat, Chesed, and Netzach. Pura and Hod. Tiferet and Yisod. Chabad it doesn't exist. Yeah? What we do is we take the 3 of Chesed, we take Chesed divided into 3. Underneath that, you got Netzach divided into 3. Now you've got 6 on one side and 6 on the other side. We take the top 2 and we send it up to become Chabad. And trading with that. We take the middle 2, which is the bottom of Chesed and the top of Netzach, the bottom of, you with me? With Guran, top of Hod, and they called Aliyat Perkin, and then they will become the future Chagat. So then eventually, when Zah is built, he will be built with Chalakim which came from the original Vak. And then we bring Mochin from above and filled in all the Shafan, you'll have 10 Sfirot. That's how you build Zah. That's the story of building Zah. That's everywhere. That's Ishmona Esrei. Even we do what we learned already, Konei Kol, or before that, Hagadol, Gibora, Nora. We mentioned how it all came down. We only talked about how it came down. We said that there was Chabad, Chagat 9, went to Chabad, Chagat, and then we push it down. We bring the Elokei. We never talked about how you have to build the kelim for that. There's a whole avodah that is called Aliyat Perkin. That's what's happening over here. So when the Shefa, which is in the Malchut of Imah, is passed over to Zah, there's this Aliyat Perkin. So the chidush here in the Shemot, you don't have to remember this. You could just look at it and just do what's in the Siddur. But you understand the lomdus behind it. The tremendous lomdus behind it, right? You can't say lomdut. Doesn't sound right, right? The lomdus behind it is that before you bring down the Shefa from Malchut of Iman Tvunat to Zah, he's only Vak. So his name then, right? She's Ben. We know from other places. And when you give him the Shefa, you don't have to do all this long, this whole long kavanah of the Asmab, Absagma Ben, and the Kasakana Kamag, right? And the Chasdim Gro. All that name changed into Ralav. That Ralav shows us Za is in a state of receiving everything. So he's called Ralab. ואחר כך יכוון להמשיכם, לחכם בגדתי דבק, דחבא דחגת, למהו בן דזה. You understand? It all goes to Za. That's called Kabbalat. That means he received all the mochin. Right? But the Kavanah doesn't end with Za. And in Milat Hashem, we have to, at the end of this Hashem, before we get to Melech Olam, it has to be a Nuk as well. So the last thing we do is to give it to Nuk. Gam Yechaven, which is a chiddush, because Milat Hashem, you may have thought is Yud Kevav case, Tiferet is Za. So that's Za. Why are you bringing Nuk into the story? Make a special word for her. Right? The chiddush is in the Matbeah Bracha, when you do the bracha, you say Baruch Atah, you say Hashem. By the time you get to Hashem before Melech Olam, everything is where it should be in Za and Nuk. So that's why it's v'gam yechaven lekasher lechaber Nuk b'diza hanikra adanut b'shem Havaya. That this is the lashon of Nahar Shalom, and from here we learn that what we're really saying is that you have to make a shiluv of Havaya adanut. That, and so that's what the Rashash did. He puts it over there. Yeah, they were sitting when they wanted to put this kavanah in the beginning. We said Hashem's name and the Mechaven, and that they should be able to like everyone else we ever do, right?
Skipping along.
Here is the only time you make a bracha. It's the only time you have a yud kevavke. You say it, and you don't mechaven on the rest of the kavanah until you get to the end. You don't do it straight away because it didn't happen yet. Okay, so Baruch Hashem zachinu that we've done everything into Baruch Atah Hashem, right? We turn the page. You got Milat Elokeinu. In Milat Elokeinu, there's no Shefa Pnimi. We finished with the story of Shefa Pnimi. Nothing else. But there's still one Bechina of Shefa Chitzon that didn't yet get Nimshach, and that's the left cover of the Membet, Shem Membet. It's 42 letters and the Laz of Kav small, and that's Elokeinu. And then we're ready to do Melech HaOlam. Yeah. So can we do a quick Chazara on everything? So again, we start the word Baruch. So from the Malchut Akudim, which is a Keter Elyon, from the Olam above, we bring down Shefa. That Shefa is for Atik Venuk to have a Zivug. And there's two Zivugim. One is for Shefa Pnimi, one is for Shefa Chitzot. Then that gives them all each Shefa, and that Shefa goes to Atik Arich Venuk. Did Atik Arich Venuk. And there's two Zivugim, Pnimi and Chitzon. They then divide up now into two different Masulim. One goes to Shefa Pnimi, which is Abba V'Yashas and Ima V'Tvuna. And one goes to Shefa Chitzon, which will be Molid Shefa, which is three names of Hashem with 42 letters in them, and Mu on the right side, Laz on the left side, and Yad in the middle. And that's Shefa Chitzon the Chitzon. And it's born in the word, in the Milah Baruch. Yeah? It's born. It's not mean the Zivug Abba V'Ima, it's Shefa Chitzon, and it's born. There we do, if we do it together now, Atah Hashem Elokeinu, we'll do all of Shefa Chitzon in each one of those places. Atah, Kav Yamin, Hashem, Kav, actually the other way around, because the middle one is Kav Emsa, yeah, and then Elokeinu we Kav small. Shefa Chitzon, Pnimi is a bit more complicated. All right, when we did Baruch, so the right side ended up in the Yisod of Abba, and that was Atzag Ma'bed. And the left side ended up in Ima, that was Kasa Kamak. Okay. There is no zivug. Milat Atah is a zivug. So there's two stages. First, you have to take everything that was in Yisod Abba and Yashas and give it over to Ima Tfuna. Right? So where is that? We're following it through on page 9. Yeah. So everything went from Yisod Abba Yashas to Yisod Ima Tfuna. And now you have to in your mind think everything now is in Yisod Ima Tfuna. So you turn the page and you've got a new system that's showing you how it's all in Yisod Ima Tfuna, and everything that's there goes into the Malchut Ima Tfuna. So you have to now visualize in your head that everything now is in Malchut Ima Tfuna. You understand? So again, I mean, understand? To go over it again and again, so you see what I'm saying, right? Then we go to Milat Hashem and we carry with Shefa Pnimi, leave the Chitzon for now, the Pnimi, right? So now we've got everything in Malchut Ima and we have to give it to Zah. And Zah, while he's not complete, he's only a Yenika because it's Shefa Chitzon. So that's why his name, which would normally be Ma, you know, Zah usually goes with Shem Ma, not with Shem Ben. But because it's only Vak de Zah, so that's why his name is Ben. And when you give him all the shefa, which was in Malchut Avimah, he now has a special name of Ben. It's not just Yud Ke Vav Ke like that. It's the Shem of Ralav, and it's called Baruch. And then he has to give it all over to Nuk, and you have the Shiluv of Vayadanut. And that's Baruch Atah Hashem. Normally Zah has a different name, but because he's not in a complete state in this point of the bracha, so we call him Ben. Yeah, that's the name. That's the name of Zah. It's an unusual name for Zah, but that's the name in his kavanah. Now, if we just now turn the page, you go to Melech HaOlam, we compare ourselves a bit for next week. Next when we come back, Bezrat Hashem will be able to go. So now everything that we've done is all of the Shefa Chitzon, the Plimi the Chitzon and the Chitzon. And everything is in Nuk. Yeah, so we can ask ourselves, hang on a minute, how, Rabbi, it's not true. It was all in Zah, and he went to Nuk. That was all Shefa Plimi. Where did we see the Chitzon went to Nuk? We didn't. You see what I'm saying? We don't have a kavanah in of the Shefa Chitzon, the yellow boxes, that ends up in Nuk. Right? But if you go to page 12, look at page 12. The truth is, if you go from the very beginning, let's follow Shefa Chitzon today. Right? Go to page 8, where it was born. At the end of Baruch, there was a Zivug Abavima, and we were Molid Shefa of the Shefa Chitzon on page 8. Right? And what we said, it was like a chidush, because Abavima were not mizdaveg when it came to Shefa Pnimi. Only Shefa Chitzon is Zivug Abavima. But anyway, it's Molid Shefa. So it's Molid Shefa to all the three places, yeah? All three membets. Yeah, I'm sorry it's not on the screen, I can't get to it at the moment. When we got to Atah, so now we have then divide these three boxes, right? One's going to go in Atah, one's going in Hashem, one's going to go in Elkeinu, right? The moment it's all above the head of Zah, Shefa, Shenolad, it's been born, but it hasn't been Nimshach. So we do Atah, and we do the right kav. Yeah? Now, if you read what's written in the Siddur, it doesn't say it goes to Zah. It says it goes to Zun. You see what it says? Lepanim de tas, de kahba de chacham, right? De chaga, de ma ben de ma, de Zun. So from here we learn that it didn't just go to Zah, went to Nuk as well. Then we turn the page, Hashem. Again, you look in the middle of the page, it says de Zun. It goes to Zun, Zah and Nuk. So when you're doing Shefa Chitzon, it's all going to Zah, it's going to Nuk as well. Zah and Nuk. You understand? But Shefa Primi, it wasn't to Zah Nuk. You get to the page of 13 at the bottom, first you have to give it to Zah, and then Zah has to give it to Nuk. It's different, it works differently, you understand? It's a subtle difference, but in the Kavanah, you have to do it properly. That's how it works in Shefa Primi. I remember spending hours on this Kavanah. It's coming back to me now. So if you look at the bottom of the page of page 13, where there's a black box, it's Chibut Zah v'Nuk, אחרי שזה קיבל המוחין שלו, מתחבר עם נוק, and then it says, נתינה לנוק על פינה שלום. Yeah? That's how it works. Because it says in Hashem, Zah has to receive it and then give it to Nuk. מה שאינו כן, when we did אתה השם אלוקינו. So we turn the page אלוקינו as well, it goes to Zun. In the Shefa Chitzon, you understand what I'm saying? It always goes to Zah and Nuk at the same time in the Kavanah. Whereas when it comes to Shefa Plimi, first you have to do everything. It comes down from the right side of the Abba, and then to his Yisod, and Abba and Yashas, and then Nuk, and Imam and Tuna. Then Abba gives it from his Yisod to her Yisod, then to her Yisod to Malchut. Then it comes to Zah, and then Zah gives it to Nuk. Versteht? In Arabic? Yeah. Now, when we say Melech HaOlam, I'm going to finish in a minute because I need to run to Bar Mitzvah as well. Yeshua, Melech HaOlam. So now this is the regular Melech HaOlam that we've done before, Rabotai. We've done this before, so you should at least have some recollection of how Melech HaOlam works. How does Melech HaOlam work? It's one of the first things that we did. You have to send the Shefa, everything of the Achor. That's when we did it, then. Where do we send it? Up to Absag Da'ak. Remember? So first you have to do Abba Mitot Beit Din. And then after the Abba Mitot Beit Din, that gives us the koch to send out the Rafach. And what's the Rafach? So we see going from down up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Yud Yud Ke Yaku Havaya. Remember, Yud Ke Yaku Havaya. Yud Ke Yaku Havaya. Yud Ke Yaku Havaya. Learn it like that. You always remember it. Then you got Havaya Ma, and then 2 sags, and sag meaning the gematria of 63 plus the 10 letters makes 73 and 72. So 72, 73, 71, and 72. Adds up to 288. It's the secret of the Rafach Nitzotzot. There isn't 288 sparks. The name of the places where they fell from is called, it adds up to 280. These are names of Hashem of certain places where they fell from. And we have to bring them back up. So this Rafach that we're bringing back now is the Gadlut, it's the Pnimiut. It's the very highest part. Everything we did till now was just for the Shefa Chitzon to end up with Zanuk, so we can take it out from them and send it up. Like it says in the Pasuk, V'lo yaru panai rekam. You can't come here with nothing. You have to come to the Korban Riyah, you come to the Beit HaMikdash on the Chag, you have to bring the Korban Riyah, Masechet Chagiga. You have to bring it, right? V'lo yaru panai rekam. So when we have to come with something, we bring the Shefa Chitzon to bring a higher the Shefa of the Pnimi. Turn to page 16, and you can see now where we started the shiur earlier. Everything that was in Nook, you see, everything that was in Nook is there. It's all there. Pnimi and Chitzon. That's all where? In Nook. Top of the page, it says, Yechaven ha'alot ha'mochin v'anarnechi shenemshechu betevot ba'ata Hashem Elokeinu. And we put in brackets, Shehem, Asma, Kasa, Kama, Kana. Mochin, Chabad, Deza, right? This is all Deza, Mibe Asma, Dachaka Deza, Ina Nechi Deroch Shelehem. But the truth is it already went to Nook, so it's coming out from Nook. Yeah? And there's a system at the bottom. All these Shemot that you see are twice. If you look at the names, they have 2 bechinot. One is otiot. So if you look at the bechina of otiot, you count the number of letters, right? So if you, for example, here you're counting the letters, right? But apart from counting the letters, there's also the gematria of everything. So we know that za is always the letters, and nuk is always the mispar. So it's the same shemot, but there's 2 lots of kavanot here. There's the otiot and the mispar. And it says at the bottom, miluyam elu hem bechinat chasadim. Za mekabel otiot u'mispar shel kol hashemot v'noten ha'mispar lenuk. So whatever you see over here includes za and nuk. If it's you're looking at the misparim that he gave her, that has to also go up. Everything has to go up to Absag De'ak. So just end by saying that on page 15, the page before, we didn't actually send anything up. That's why if you look at the arrow, it's not red, it's transparent. See that arrow? 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is it transparent? Because here it's called levarer. It's birurei kelim. It says that we haven't actually sent them up. First, you have to mivara them. You have to put a name tag around them and say, you guys, Asini Kodesh. Yeah. Give them a stamp. Then on page 17, you send them up. Laha'alotam. It says, im birurei kelim, you send them all up. Where? To Absag De'ak, which is actually on page 19. See Absag De'ak. You send them all up. And they gorem a zivug, the pressure that builds up between the Enaim and the Metzach of Olam Ak, Adam Kadmon, makes a zivug. And then 9, because you only got the ben that came out, the Malchut, the ben that came out. You've got to then bring out another 9 parts for the ben and 10 parts of the ma, and you get 19 extra parts. Eventually, you have 20 parts altogether. And that's called the Shefa. The Halukata Shefa, and then we have to end the bracha by seeing how we distribute it. So how do we distribute it? So you go to page 20. So first you have to start with Atik, and you give, there's a Zivug Atik V'nuk, and then it builds up the parts of Atik V'nuk, and then he gives the rest to Atik V'nuk, and Arich V'nuk, and then he gives it over to Abba V'ima, and Abba V'ima gives it to Yashut. And then eventually, on page 21, you see you bring back the Mochin, the Yenika, the Shefa Chitzon, all comes back on 21, right? All the way down to Zah. And then when we turn the page, since this kavanah is Baruch Shamar, so the actual ma'aseh that you do is all inside the kavanah of the dibur when you like if you're praising Hashem Baruch Shamar. So all the kavanah is in the actual bracha itself. But if, for example, this was a bracha on tefillin or mitzvah or eating food, the ma'aseh achilah is where you have to do some of the kavanot. So it works down. You have to break it down separately into different stages. So they say boreh, peri, ha'etz. So all of this has to be broken down into 4 different stages. But when you're doing a shevach la'el, where the actual dibur is the mitzvah, so you do it all in one go, and you see you got the ones above the mem ditzelim, lamed ditzelim, tzag ditzelim, and that's the whole kavanah. Matbeah Bracha. Didn't think we'd finish it today, but for argument's sake, that's the general idea of everything. You become in it. Now there's no kelim; it's all shefa. It's all shefa that you have to just moshach the shefa, and then there's big rabbah, baracha rabbah, and all the olamot, and it comes to us as well, and that's the person zochet to do a bracha, the kavanot of Matbeah Bracha. Baruch Adonai leolam, amen ve'amen.
Yes.